Got about 12 minutes before we begin closing statements. I'm going to try to squeeze 2 questions in, so we'll try to be sensitive to time, and we'll start with Bill Johnson. What ethics reform, if any, do you support?
I support limiting contributions by lobbyists to elected officials, and probably the main ethics reform initiative that I would lead is I would lead by example. We've had different ethics reform packages go through or get teed up in the legislature only to fail because it applied to the whole legislature. And I, along with the other folks joining me here, all signed a pledge recently that as governor, we would not enrich ourselves or our family with the position of governor, and that in fact we would report not just household member income, which is what the current ethics reform package that the governor's proposing, but all household income. When you think, I mean, all family income. When you think about household members, you're talking about your 12 and 14-year-old child, and it's ridiculous to think they're going to be receiving some lobbyist contract or legal contracts. And I think it's important that folks know that if the governor's got children on Jefferson County payroll through their law firms, I think that ought to be reported, right? And I commit to lead by example, and I signed that Christian Coalition Pledge, Governor's Integrity Pledge, and I intend to at least, even if the legislature won't pass a comprehensive ethics reform package that applies to himself, I'll support and have it apply to me, and then challenge them to do the same. Thank you.
I grew up at the knee of a very ethical man who served as governor of this state twice. I understand that the legitimacy of government to last depends on firm ethical absolutes. This transparency legislation that's in the works is all good. There's basically 2 things I want to hone in on for just a second that really don't get a lot of discussion out there. And we all know in ethics there's one fundamental rule, which is follow the money. Referral contracts. What's going on in Montgomery is you have political insiders who have buddies in the system, and a third party comes to them and says, if you can get me this contract, use your influence, I will pay you a fee, a referral fee. Nothing's wrong with it. I mean, I'm a First Amendment guy, but it ought to be disclosed. You need to shine the light of day on these referral contracts. The second thing we need to do is pay for play where there's been where people have made contributions, companies, individuals. We need to close the window on receiving contracts 2 years before and 2 years after any contribution is made. If you do those things, you will shut out a lot of the hocus pocus and corrupt activities and special interests and buddy systems that are going on. This issue, this ethical issue, is extremely important to drawing business to Alabama. The transparency, putting all the contracts on the website are also good. Thank you.
Senator Bentley.
Let me just tell you what I have done. When I was elected to the House of Representatives in 2002, I taught family medicine residents, and I continued to do that until I retired just 3 months ago to run full-time for governor. I made $100 a month from the University of Alabama for doing that. I called the University of Alabama and I said, I no longer can take your $100 a month because it'd be unethical for me to vote on that budget if I'm receiving money from that budget. And that's what I do personally. I have been on many state trips. My wife and I have gone on state trips. I have never taken a penny from the state of Alabama for those trips. I have always paid my own way. I have even paid the tuition on those trips, and I even went to all the meetings. Now, I can't say that for some of the other legislators. But what we need in Montgomery is total openness, ladies and gentlemen. When every dollar is accounted for, and you know where every dollar goes, that just takes care of things. That's all we need. We don't need complicated ethics laws. We talk about PAC-to-PAC transfers and all this kind of stuff. We just need to know where every dollar goes. If we do that, then you would trust government more than you do at the present time. I cannot always control what the legislature is going to do. I can't control what I'm going to do. And as the governor of the state of Alabama, I'm going to have an executive code of ethics for the governor's office to not only pertain to me, but to pertain to my family and to pertain to all of my staff people that work for me. I also can promise you this: I will have no bid contracts under the governor's office. And you know, recently with this Paragon case, this is a situation where we should not tolerate. And I will not have that in my administration.